Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about hands-on play ideas for preschool and school-age children. So those kiddos 3 years old to kind of mid-school age. We also have a great webinar on hands-on play ideas for infants and toddlers that I did on Tuesday that will be on YouTube as well. So you can watch that if you have multiple age children or if you have a child kind of on the border between the two ages. So I'm really excited to share some great ideas with you, things that my kids love to do, and some things that I have done at home or continue to do very often. So my name is Lauren. I am the Family Support Specialist with Child Care Answers. So in my role, I help connect families to childcare, provide one-on-one support, and do parenting workshops. These are my kiddos. I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. So again, a lot of the things that I'm going to share with you are very tried and true for my kiddos at home. If you do not currently follow us on social media, I highly encourage you to do so. We post all of our live workshops on Facebook, so you can register there. We also have a very active YouTube page where we record all of our workshops and then put them on there as well. And then visit us at childcareanswers.com/yourchild for tons and tons and tons of parenting tips and resources and support materials. Child Care Answers is part of a larger network of child care resource and referral agencies located in Indiana. So we service Hendricks, Hamilton, and Marion counties, but there is an agency that covers you if you do not live in one of our counties. You can contact me and I can hook you up with the correct specialist. So as you're thinking about playing with young children, think about the things that you love to do with your own child and some things that you love to do when you were a child as well. So I think it's helpful to think about like, what do I enjoy? And then I'm going to provide more of those experiences, or what did I love to do when I was younger? And then provide some of those similar experiences for our young children. So while you're engaging with your kiddos, you can support their play skills through a variety of different experiences. And so while you're providing materials, you're playing alongside of them, you're encouraging their exploration and their creativity, you can really promote their problem solving and thinking skills. Asking questions, open-ended questions about what they're doing, getting them to think through solutions or to think through things in a different way. Saying things like, when you put a big block on top of the little one, your building fell down. How can we build it so it doesn't fall down anymore? And they're going to have a variety of responses. And some, are like, yeah, those are not going to work. But you're going to allow them to process that, to try it, to go through the steps of STEM, where they're really thinking about a solution, they're researching that solution, they're trying it, they're saying, oh, that didn't work, let's try something different, adapting that plan, and then carrying through that plan again. You can also just ask like, oh no, what happened, just to get them to start thinking through those same processes. You can also encourage a lot of pre-learning or pre-academic skills through play by encouraging meaningful counting. So counting within play, counting even at snack time or meal time, at bath time. Encouraging, again, those STEM thinking skills, and then supporting their emerging writing skills by giving them a lot of opportunities to color, to engage in pre-writing activities, anything that engages their fine motor development, and which is building those muscles in the hand so that they can write once they go off to school. And then providing a lot of opportunity for them to play with writing. And young children, when they begin playing with writing, it doesn't really look like they're actually writing. They are using kind of pretend characters in order to write. They're playing with language, they're playing with different shapes. So all of that is kind of this emerging writing that leads into writing once they go off to school. For your school agers, you can encourage them to make lists, to make signs, to incorporate writing into play. My son loves to make keep out signs for his room. or he'll make a fort and then label it. So encourage a lot of opportunities to incorporate writing within play. Additionally, through play, you can help support your child's language skills by introducing new words, big words, using a lot of mathematical and science concepts like over, under, through, force, energy, momentum, these kind of big words and big concepts that really get them thinking differently. And also don't forget to use emotional language. So while I think as a parent, I'm really good at labeling what my child's doing and providing different words to use and explaining the bigger words that I'm using, sometimes I don't think I do as good of a job of using emotional language. So explaining my emotions, like mommy's feeling really frustrated right now, or I am super excited because the mail arrived and I know there's a letter in there for me. So using those emotional words and also labeling my child's emotions. I see that you're very mad because you're clenching your fist and you're stomping your feet, or I'm noticing that you're frustrated while you're working on this puzzle. How can I support you? Or how can we move that piece a little differently so that we may not be as frustrated? Really encouraging kind of persistence through frustration. So as we're building our child's language skills, we're also paying attention to that emotional language. So in the heat of the moment, instead of chucking a block across the room or having a giant tantrum, our child begins to develop the skills to label their feelings verbally and say like, hey, I'm mad. I'm going to go take a break now, which is a really great skill to have as they develop and as they get older. So I'm going to share some of my favorite things, some really outside of the box ways of looking at play, and a lot of really cheap or free things that you can do with your child. Things that really don't involve going out and buying a bunch of toys. Yes, I have some toys and materials in here, but there's also a lot of unconventional materials as well. So first things first, especially with children ages 3 to school ages, to really support their building skills. Creativity goes way beyond coloring. Creativity plays into science and math and building and all of these other ways where a child can be creative in their own way. So offer a ton of different building materials. Think very outside of the box when it comes to building in order to provide a space for your child to create whatever they dream up. What I love about building is there's no right or wrong way to build. I have a set of materials and I make something with it. Building materials are also great if you have multi-age children so that your 1-year-old can use the materials to their fullest and your 7-year-old can use those materials to their fullest. They can engage with them in their own way in the same space, which I think is helpful to have materials that are available in the common space that both children can engage with together, leaving your kind of smaller toys or those special toys for your kids' bedrooms where they can have a moment to go play by themselves and their sibling isn't kind of ruining everything that they've created. So some ideas of things that you can incorporate for building materials are things like cups, pipe cleaners, popsicle sticks, boxes, cereal boxes, little trinkets. I love to take loose parts from old board games. So before I throw out the board games that are missing half the pieces, I collect all of the little trinkets from there and use those as kind of a loose parts building center in my house or things that they can incorporate within building. Just making kind of being intentional about the way that I use those little pieces if I do have someone that is a little bit younger so that it's not a choking hazard. But they're perfect for our kiddos 3 and older. Some other great building material. This is just pieces of cardboard that were cut so that they can stick together. Super easy. Your child can also help you cut so that they can stick them together, and cutting, especially cardboard, is very difficult. So it builds their hand muscles, it builds that hand strength, and it's a great pre-writing skill. And then when we're asking our child questions like, your block tower keeps falling over, I wonder how we can get it to stay together. One of those things that they might say is, I need something to make it stick. And In this particular picture, it's incorporating foam blocks and shaving cream together in order to basically use the shaving cream as mortar to get them to stick together. This is also a great activity to do to give your child the foam blocks and let them play, and then incorporate the mortar and ask some questions like, how was that play different? How was your tower different? Were you able to stack your tower higher with the shaving cream than before you had it? And getting them to really think why that worked differently. If you're worried about the mess of shaving cream and blocks, take this to the bathtub. Either do it with water in the bathtub already or before you fill up the tub, so that it creates a space where they can explore and they can be messy, but within reason of your limits and what you're comfortable with. So I think the bathtub is a great place to engage in a lot of that sensory play. Another great thing for preschool and school age children, and they love this, is a variety of writing materials. So for our younger kiddos, I think we think crayons, markers, paper, and that's kind of it. As they get older, they really want to begin exploring a variety of textures, a variety of materials, and a variety of tools. So in my house, I have an art cart very similar to the one in the picture. In this cart, I have two actually. One is for my 3-year-old and then one is for my 7-year-old, because there's different materials on each one. My 3-year-old doesn't need access to Sharpies. She doesn't need a stapler. She doesn't need tape. She doesn't need paint that she can open and get out without having to ask first. So on her cart, I have things like watercolor palettes, crayons, markers, Play-Doh tools, stamps, those types of things. Where on my son's cart, I have things that he can use more creatively, like Sharpies, gel pens, really cool like watercolor markers, a bunch of different things for him to be able to explore and create. If you're thinking about a birthday present or a Hanukkah gift or a Christmas present for a kiddo between the ages of 4 and 10, art supplies are it. They're a huge hit. My son loves when I bring home pens and markers and all of that for him. It stimulates a very big hug from him. And really, I'm like, I just bought you some Sharpies that were in the sales section at Meijer, but hey, it's amazing how much they use them and how much it helps them develop creatively, but also getting them ready for school. So think outside of the box with these materials. Add things like clipboards and notebooks and paper and magazines and hole punchers and staplers and all sorts of things where they can make their own books. They can make lists, they can make signs. My son loves to look at pictures of things that he likes, like Star Wars characters or Harry Potter castles, and then try to recreate those. He also loves stickers and being able to make scenes with stickers. So taking a bunch of Star Wars character stickers and putting them on paper and then drawing the ships above them in space. So being able to incorporate a lot of different things when it comes to writing and coloring and creating and putting it all together on paper. In addition to kind of providing a variety of writing materials, there are some things that we can do through play to support our child's alphabet and number awareness. So as you're looking at these pictures, think about them as numbers instead of letters, and you're supporting that school readiness skill of alphabet awareness and number awareness through play. So children don't need to go off to kindergarten knowing their shapes and their letters and their colors and all of these things. They're going to learn those types of things once they go off to school. They're going to learn how to read once they're in school. What you're really wanting to do in the beginning is laying that foundation for wanting to learn all of those things in school. Being curious, being interested in learning, and being aware. So many children going off to kindergarten may not know all of their letters, but they might know that my name starts with C and I can recognize C, and C is meaningful for me. I don't know why, but I don't need to know. I'll learn that letter later. I know C, or I might know M because my mom's name starts with M, or mom starts with M. So they begin to learn to recognize letters that are meaningful to them. And they're also beginning to recognize the difference between a letter and a shape. And all of that happens just through play. So here are some ideas of ways that we can provide awareness or an exposure to letters or numbers in a way that's very meaningful and not in a way that's quizzing our child. What letter is this? Or today we're going to learn the letter A, because then by the time I'm learning the letter R, I don't even know the rest of the letters. So here are some examples. So letter match for my name. So writing my name in paper and then giving me a variety of stickers where I can find the stickers that match that letter and then stick it onto the right paper. I recommend doing this with uppercase before we ever introduce lowercase, but sometimes it's just a matter of what you have lying around. Not only is it name recognition, it's letter awareness, but it's also a great fine motor skill because the child has to peel off the backing of the sticker and then stick it onto the paper. Another great one with stickers is writing some letters or numbers or shapes. There's so many different ways that you can do this on a toilet paper roll and on stickers, and then having them match. So not only is it alphabet awareness, but it's also a great fine motor skill like the last activity and a math activity because we're matching that one-to-one correspondence. Some other ones that I love doing is the magnetic alphabet match. So taking a really cheap cookie tray, you can get them at Goodwill, and getting some magnetic letters and writing the letters in Sharpie on the tray and then having your child match or stick the letter onto the corresponding letter. This is a great activity to do in the car because it's magnetic and it all kind of stays together. Another one for your older preschoolers or your beginning school agers is a sound match bin. So once they do know their letters, maybe kindergarten or first graders, they really have that ability to understand their letters. They're starting to read. They're starting to understand that letters make sounds. So now instead of searching for the letter, I'm searching for materials that start with that letter. So I'm matching a ball to the letter B because I know that they both make the sound ba. So that is definitely a more advanced alphabet awareness activity that you can do with your preschoolers and school agers. Also, as we're kind of playing, something you'll realize or recognize from the last set of activities is it's very hands-on. So your child is engaging with the materials with their hands, through their senses, they're stimulating their play skills, and they're not sitting down kind of filling out a worksheet or doing something like that. So here's some additional great activities to explore with their hands, but that are multi-sensory. Young children love sensory experiences. I love sensory experiences. I am definitely careful of what I offer indoors versus outdoors versus in the bathtub, but that's to everyone's comfort level. So do what you're most comfortable with, but create the opportunity for your child to explore with sensory materials in the space that you support. So things like rice, ice, goop, mud, water beads. I love water beads outside in the sensory table. I like water beads in the bathtub. I like water beads in sensory bottles. I love freezing water beads. Water beads are amazing. You can find them on Amazon, super, super cheap. You put them in water and the water absorbs into the bead and it puffs up. And they're kind of slimy and squishy and they're a lot of fun. You can also make sensory bins with a variety of different materials. This particular one is oats and trucks, but again, you can make them in a variety of different ways. And then I love amping up my Play-Doh game. So we always have Play-Doh on our art tray or our art cart, but sometimes it can get boring just playing with Play-Doh and cookie cutters. So I like to incorporate different materials and create kind of invitations for my child to explore. So in this particular one, it's taking some magnifying glasses and tweezers and bugs and Play-Doh and putting it all together to basically create the invitation to make bug fossils and to look with their magnifying glasses, to use the tongs to get the bugs out of the Play-Doh, which is supporting their fine motor development. Just kind of amping up or amplifying that experience for your child. Take something from as like, I'm done with Play-Doh to I want to play with that. And there are so many different ways that you can add materials to support Play-Doh development and Play-Doh play. When you're looking for purchasing materials, I find it helpful to look for things that are very open-ended. There's not a right or wrong way to engage with them. They can be used in a variety of different ways, as well as children at different ages can play with them. I know as a parent that I hate buying a toy and then 6 months later, no one plays with it. And a lot of that can be solved by buying open-ended materials because you can play with it when you're 1, you can still play with it when you're 10. So some things that I love are squigs. So squigs is something that you'll notice is in the infant toddler hands-on play webinar, and I've also incorporated it here. These are the squigs 2.0. They're just different shapes than the original squigs. But squigs are made by Fat Brain Toys. You can get them on their website or on Amazon. And they're essentially just like a silicone toy that has suction cups on the ends that stick together. They can be washed in the dishwasher, and they're a great toy out in the play space, but also in the bathtub. I'm a huge fan of Magnetiles. There are several varieties of Magnetiles of different brands like Geoformers, Magnaformers, and Picasso tiles. They are an expensive toy. Magnetile brand is definitely more expensive than the off brands, but they're a toy that will last forever. And they are a toy that you can constantly add to. So we started with a set of 30, we added more. We got the expansion pack that you could make cars. Now they have expansion packs where you can make tracks that have kind of curves on them. So there's something that you can constantly add to. And they have been a hit in my playroom with both of my kiddos for a very long time. And then something we have at our house as well that comes out on rainy days because it is larger is this fort building set. And it's essentially just these balls with different holes so that you can stick the sticks in the balls and stick them all together and build with them, and then throw a blanket over the top and make a fort. So those are one of those things that when we can't go outside because it's too muddy and cold, we all are just kind of at each other's throats. Definitely a great COVID activity is building forts, however you choose to do it, whether you use couch cushions or have a fort building set or chairs or whatever it might be. Additionally, for our older preschoolers and especially school agers, they love science experiments. They love to engage in STEM thinking. They love to make concoctions. They like to try things that are challenging and difficult. I know that my son likes creating concoctions with things that I probably don't want him making concoctions with. The amount of things he makes in my shower, I don't even know. I try to keep my expensive shampoos up higher so that he only has access to the cheap stuff, but he usually finds it. But there's always different concoctions in there once I get into the shower. So we have gotten a lot of books on different science experiments or science kits, but nothing beats your good old fashioned Mentos and Coke, or Mentos and a variety of different things to see how it reacts. Baking soda and vinegar, salt water and pipe cleaners to make crystals. There's just so many different things that you can provide your child to create and explore with and make concoctions with. And that's one of those things that they're probably going to make a mess. So do it in the sink, do it in the bathtub, do it outside, do it somewhere you're okay with them making a mess. Something else that I like to give my son when he says, I'm bored, is something that really gets him thinking or challenges him. And one of those activities is mini marshmallows and uncooked spaghetti noodles. And I say, make a tower. Don't come back until you have a really cool structure that you've built. And he will take hours trying to put that thing together. It's challenging, but not too challenging that he gets frustrated and stops, but challenging enough that it really captures his attention, and he wants to persist until he has something cool made, something cool to show me. And there's some days that I'm like, I'm gonna make one too, and we're gonna see whose is better. And it can become this competition that's super, super fun. I've also done this with tape. Painter's tape is a great tape option because it comes off of things and doesn't pull off paint. But tape and popsicle sticks or tape and paper straws, or if you have plastic straws left that you want to use for play so that you're not kind of throwing them away and killing the turtles, that is also something great to make, to either make structures or bridges out of those. And last but not least, create with real materials. So give your child tools, give them real tools to explore with, and give them real materials to create with, like branches and rocks and all sorts of things that are outside that you bring inside, or you create a building space outside for them to create with. My son has had his own set of tools since he was about 2.5, and he has definitely been learning how to use them appropriately. But most children, given the right environment, in an environment where they can create and use things and learn how to use things appropriately, do very well with real tools. He really loves building alongside of my husband. When my husband's doing an activity or when I'm kind of working around the house, he's usually right alongside of us helping us. And he even had this great idea when I was gone one day with my husband to make me a box for all of my coffee pods. So they built it together. He painted it. He put a knob on it. He wrote coffee on it. And it's still next to my coffee maker. And so that's a really awesome thing for me to look at, knowing that he had the idea to make it. And he also made that with his own tools and his bare hands. And so that's a really cool thing for me to have and to look at. So as I'm sharing all of these things that you can do with your child, think about variety that you can do. Think about adapting these, using different materials. Really, this just kind of opens the door to think about all the possibilities of things that you can provide, invite your child to play with, and play alongside of them. So think about what excites you and start there. Think about an activity that you're like, I want to try that, because if you're excited about it, your child is also going to be excited about it. And when we're excited and there's interest, our engagement level increases and we can really focus and engage in that activity or that play for longer, which opens the door for so many different experiences. So hopefully you have a lot of activities that you are ready to try and explore at home. If you want more information from me, or if you want to reach out, don't hesitate to email me at laureng@childcareanswers.com. And if you do have a kiddo under 3, check out our other video on hands-on play for infants and toddlers. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll see you next time.